Hi everyone, welcome to Reignite. It's me, Kathy Grant. We have a real treat for you today. Our guest is coming to us live from LA. What can I tell you about this guy? Let's see, he was born in Holland. He lives in LA. His latest band is inspired by a stay in the UK. And apparently he's looking for the mermaid with the green gloves. He apparently also loves Tangerine and he's an Aries. Now, how much of that is true, we will find out, and much, much more. So let's embrace our sense of adventure and welcome our special guest today, Roger Deering. Hi, Roger.
Hi. So cool to be here. Wow, that intro. Right.
Well, we need to find out how much of those facts are true, because I saw some of that on Smash Fashion page. So we'll get into all that a bit later on.
Yeah.
Oh, can I just say, I've just seen
that I didn't know that page even existed. I it's still out there. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of things on it, Roger. There's a lot of things on it.
Very cool. Yeah.
Can I welcome some of our early guests? I've just seen Jackie joining us from Canada and Paul joining us from Washington. So hello, everybody.
Right
Anyone
on.
in the UK? Oh, and Danielle from Dublin. There we go. Fantastic.
Yeah, Dublin in the house.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on today. And I was just going to say it's super early in the morning. So is it tea or coffee you start your day with?
Coffee. You know, I know you guys really love the tea, and I do too. But coffee has just become a thing. I drink as much of it as I can. You know, it's that extra power. You know, not giving it up till they pry it from my cold dead hands.
Do you know what? I am with you on that. UK used to be more tea, but these days with the invasion of Starbucks that have taken over the entire world, I think we're a lot more coffee than we used to be. Everyone's going in with the coffee there in the comments.
Yeah. I guess it's like with Starbucks, it's the convenience. Like there's a Starbucks everywhere. There's probably one in the deepest, darkest black hole of Calcutta.
I think if you climb to the top of like the Himalayas, there's probably one perched on the top of there.
Yeah. True.
Now, we have a lot to get through today, and I'm going to say to everyone, as usual, we will try to stick to an hour, but we may go off on tangents and down rabbit holes, so we will do our best. But the main reason Roger is here is Crimewave have a brilliant single out that came out on the 7th of February. And they are teasing us at the moment with a video that we are waiting for. And I keep seeing clips of it and I'm not sure when it's coming.
Yeah.
There are dates coming up. There is hopefully the album in the spring. But should we start with telling everyone right the way back in the beginning, how did you get into music? I mean, going way back, before Crimewave, before drills, everything.
Yeah. I've always been in the music, you know. My mother was a big music person, and probably the biggest influence on my musical life, just through the things that she listened to that I heard around the house. You know, I remember how music, when I was a little kid in Holland, my grandparents had, remember the old stereo credenza, where the stereo was built in and speakers, and it had a nice wood veneer sliding door, and they had the records in there, and they had one of those. And my mom's younger brother, so I was probably about 5-6 years old at this point, and he was like about 12 or 13, my mom's youngest brother. My mom came from a big family in Holland, 9 kids, and he was the youngest boy, and he was really into Elvis, and he had that Elvis album cover, the famous one, iconic one, where Elvis is all in the gold lame suits, and there's a whole bunch of them. I forgot the name of the album, but he had that album, and he used to put it on, and he would, and all us kids, the cousins, because my aunts and uncles were always coming to Upa and Uma's house, my grandparents' house, and the house was full of people all the time. And we'd all sit on the couch, and he would put that record on and start dancing around, mimicking singing Elvis, and it was just thrilling. It was thrilling. And my granddad in Holland, he also loved music, and he would put on that song Wooly Bully by Sam Sham and the Pharaohs.
Yeah.
Arguably the greatest rock song of all time anyway. And he would dance around the house and it was hysterically funny and but high energy. And I think that was kind of the beginning of my obsession with this thing called music, and primarily rock music. Although soul in other music things are huge for me too, but I think it goes that far back, for me. And then eventually we moved around a lot, and it was hard to hang on to things. But we're at one little area, and in school, they had little music things going on, and I started banging around on a drum and got drum obsessed and learned how to play the drums. And that was kind of my intro into the music world of now starting to play with other like-minded, kindred spirits, so to speak. And back then you could find them. It was the pre-internet, of course, and no phones, things like that, other than the one in your house with a dial on it. But you would hear about this person or that person that liked this particular thing. And I'm talking about now in the late 70s, where punk in America, and it may have been in the UK, I don't know, but in America at that time, now, I had long moved to America with my mom and my brothers. But punk was a dirty word. And and the people that connected to it and liked it, you kind of it was almost like, this ESP, you found each other. Found each other. And hence that's what it was like. So in playing music, you'd meet these kindred spirits. This kid liked the Clash, and this kid did this and did that. And one of the guys that I knew back then, and I don't bring it up a whole lot because of the way things turned out for him, was Gigi Allen. And I don't know if you guys know about him. Gigi ended up this punk legend and stuff, but I met him early on when, he was this good looking kid with long hair and wanted to be like, Mick Jagger and Iggy Pop. And he was a great front man and a great rock and roll singer. But these were part of the journey. You would meet these characters and meet these people because it just, it was a different era and different time. And if you wanted to do something musically, you had to kind of hit the bricks. You had to hit the fucking bricks. You had to be out there. You had to have that energy going where that energy vibe is out there and people connect to it. And I wouldn't know what it's like now for younger people. I'm sure it's a whole different thing, but that's what it was like. And that's what my intro to music was.
Yeah, because if you think back then, people would just like, do you have such a thing as news agents in America? I don't know, like a store that sells newspapers and candy, and we used to have them on every kind of street, and in the window they would always have like a board where you could just write things on a piece of paper, stick it up, so it'd be like, guitarist wanted, singer wanted, and you'd just take the number from the window of a store and go and call them or go around to their house. I don't think it's like that anymore.
Yeah. There was some things like that here in the States. There was usually, in whatever neighborhood you were in or from or city, there was probably one little spot that had the balls enough to become a punk shop and carry this new energy of music, right? As well as the older, cooler stuff. And those places would become little hangout spots where you could also have your flyer and your number. And but in the States, the music industry is, and I've learned this over the years, and back then was very, very different than Europe and the UK. Europe and the UK had this, you guys had a weekly music magazine thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like Sounds and the New Music Express, right? Am I correct about that?
You are, you know what, you are so right. It was called New Musical Express, or NME, and my husband, who you spoke to before, used to write the gig guide for the New
Yeah.
Musical Express back in the
Yeah,
day.
and so you guys had these really cool magazines or newspapers, and and you needed to fill those magazines and newspapers. So bands were talked about, and people started hearing about it and stuff on a weekly basis. Where in America in the 70s, you had some big music magazines. You had Rolling Stone, or and Cream, something cool like that. But it wasn't a weekly thing, so there wasn't like this network. It's different. It was more spread out. And but most areas city wise, and I usually lived close to bigger cities, they have a magazine or a newspaper that you can write, hey, looking for a musician into Iggy and the Bad Brains or whatever, and someone would answer that. So we did have that stuff, and like when my band came here to LA, and my band The Drills, when we came here in 87, that's the first thing we did was put an ad in. They had a thing called the Recycler, and looking for a guitar player. So it's yeah.
So would the Drills, when you moved down, because when you first went to the States, you were in New England, and then you went down to Miami. So did Drills start once you got down there, or did you already know some of the people before?
I did, but when I landed in America, I landed in New England, and then we ended up in New Mexico. My mom and my brother, and then we ended up back in. We went everywhere. We went to Florida, and then long stupid story. But the beginning of the Drills started in New England, probably in the sense that my friend Mike Hall, he was the guitar player, one of the guitar players in the band. He was my neighbor in New England. And then, so when I got in trouble and got the fuck out of New England and went, my mom was living in Miami at this time. And I went down to Miami to get away from the trouble. But Mike was my buddy, and me and him were already jamming stuff. I was playing little drums, and he was a bass guitar player in a band. And so there was already a thing there between us. And then when I got to Miami, I went out and I checked out the music scene there, and it was fabulous. It was fabulous, man. Miami had its own thing because it's really far away. It's a long drive to get down to Miami. If you're going up and down the East Coast, Miami's way down there. And people used to make fun of the state. They'd go, yeah, it looks like a limp dick hanging off the States. Because that's what it looks like, right? So, and we were right at the tip of that. So that isolation, I think, created a unique scene there. And when I got there, my mind was blown from some of the bands I was seeing. And I came from a scene out of Boston where I saw mind-blowing bands like, DMZ and the New Models and Mission of Burma, Taxi Boys, on and on and on, the Outlets. And so when I came down to Miami, I was like, I got to get a band going down here. Like, this is happening here. And there's bands like the US Furies and the Reactions and Charlie Pickett and the Eggs and this Screaming Sneakers. These bands were, if these bands were in any other city, they would have been the happening big thing. Or if they were in New York or LA or London, these bands would have took off because every one of those bands was fucking fantastic. So we got this thing together and started playing around in the scene there, and there various little punk clubs were popping up, but one place opened up that stayed open for about 2 years, and it was 24/7 rock and roll in there. Okay, so it was open 7 nights a week, and they were starting to bring punk bands down, in American hardcore bands as well as English bands. And so in 1983, by this point, the Drills are playing, and we're playing in clubs. And our first big show was opening for the UK Subs at this club called Flynn's. And Flynn's was right on Miami Beach. And back in the day, the Rat Pack used to hang out there, Dean Martin and Sammy Davis. This place was incredible. It was basically abandoned, and a guy found it named John Flynn, and he turned it into a rock club. And he booked, and his other guys booked punk bands in there, and original bands, which was unheard of back then, because everything was a cover band in Miami. It's touristy, big tourist city. People go out, they want to see cover bands. They don't want to, maybe the more venturesome type would want to go see, let's go find this cool underground club, which is where we were. But that scene was incredible, and that's where I feel I got my musical rock and roll bones, so to speak. You know how they say that in the mafia, you get your bones after that. So I got my bones in that scene, in that club, because we played there all the time, and we played with all kinds of great bands. And that scene morphed into, now the American hardcore scene is really, really spreading, and younger kids are hearing it. It's no longer people of club age, 18 and over. Now all of a sudden these younger kids are really into this movement with Circle Jerks, Black Flag, Bad Brains, TSOL, you name it, all these incredibly great bands. And those bands were all coming down into Florida. And we were in the position where we had our shit together enough that we would open a lot of these shows. And that's, to this day, Keith Morris of the Circle Jerks, dear friend of mine, because of those early days. And Mike Roach from TSOL, one of my dear friends, who reason why I came to LA was because of him. He's the one that said, you guys need to go to LA, so that Florida punk scene. And there's a really cool book. Let me promote it from my friend Joey Seaman that wrote, him and another guy. They wrote this book called Punk Under the Sun. And and it's really a cool book. It talks about the punk scene there. And gosh, I wish I had a photo of it. I had the book with me, but it's a great book, and it's available out there. Punk Under the Sun by Joey Seaman and Chris Potash, and it's a really cool book. So
very
Miami.
Cool. Very cool. We will look out for that. See, now you're promoting your friend's book. See, I can promote another one of my shows now, because you mentioned the UK Subs. And if you subscribe to Reignite and you go back through previous shows, you'll find an episode with Charlie Harper from the UK Subs, who's been on here as well. See, now you have to subscribe. You got to subscribe, Roger, and watch the episode.
I did look. I saw Paul Gray, who I absolutely worship. I saw Toya Wilcox, who I absolutely love and worship. And I went, man, that's yeah. So I'll definitely check that one out too. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Right. So let's return to you. Enough self-promotion. So you're in the Drills, you're down in this Florida scene, and then you end up, because of your friend, going over to LA. And it was at that point, wasn't it, that the Drills really took off? And then after a little while, it all went a little bit wrong, should we say?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that we took off. It was this slow, it was relatively quick in a now looking back, but it wasn't overnight, and nor was the level that we certainly weren't on any kind of path to instant success. It was, we did get our foot in the door, but let me just put that back. When we got to LA, we had one connection, and our friends were in this band called the Rock City Angels. And
Mm-hmm.
they were buddies of ours from the Miami scene. And they had come out like a year or two before us. And they ended up getting this big giant record deal. They had this whole story. They opened for Jane's Addiction, and you know, a week later they're signed to Geffen Records, and you know, and they rushed into the studio to make a record. And but they were our bros from Miami, and so when we got here, they hooked us up with this guy named Len Fagan, who and this other woman named Audrey, and Len was booking the Coconut Teaser. Which to me, since I've been in LA, was like the greatest scene you can imagine. And
Okay.
we went there and introduced ourselves, and Len said, boys, here's your lifetime membership to the Coconut Teaser, gave us a card. You know, we could drink there, you know, for relatively nothing. And they used to have these big giant beer goblets that looked like a fish bowl. And so there's a lot of beer in that. And they had free hot dogs on the patio. So, and he booked us all the time. So here we have a place we can play, drink, and eat. And we're young, broke musicians. And Len was very, very instrumental and crucial to us being able to put some kind of foot here in LA and kind of hang on here. And through those gigs at the Teaser, and we played a lot of really cool shows in the Teaser. One was with Ron Ashton from the Stooges, which was really, really fucking cool. Yeah, that was great. And he had that chick Niagara singing. It was really, really awesome night. But you know, we ended up getting a record deal, and that also may have been by a fluke. The way that I was supporting myself then was I was a carpenter, and we were building we started finding people to build recording studios for. And I got into this loop with this guy named Steve Klein, who was one of the head engineers at Criteria Studios in Miami. He was Tom Dowd's engineer. So this guy was like a recording engineer genius. And he knew how to build recording studios. And as a matter of fact, Steve was the engineer on the Dead Boys' second record, We Have Come for Your Children, which, you know, 5 years after that album, or maybe 7 years, my band, The Drills, in Miami, opened for what supposedly is the last ever Dead Boys show with the original lineup. So,
Wow.
yeah, they've kept going, and then there's but that night in particular, it was the original lineup of the guys, and it was a pretty incredible, fun, weird night. Jimmy Zero was passed out. I'm gonna get in some rock and roll dirt here.
Yeah.
Jimmy Zero was passed out on the couch that was in the green room, and Stiv Bators put 2 cigarettes in each nostril and then lit them while he was passed out. So you could imagine, right? He like wakes up and he's, you know, blowing, the sparks are flying out of the cigarettes. And then Johnny Blitz, the drummer, was in the corner, and he was really upset. He was really upset about something, and he kept telling Stiv, just give me the money, you fucking weasel. Just give me the fucking money. And we were like, oh, okay. You know, but I'll tell you what, when it was time for them to hit the stage, holy shit, man. Like Jimmy Zero was completely out of it, but when they hit the stage, it was just this explosion. But anyway, sorry I got off on a tangent.
No, you see, that's going to happen. Like somebody, like PJ just said in the chat there, that musicians always have great stories. Oh, and hello to also Denise, who's just joined us from Palm Springs as well. Good morning to you.
Is that my?
We got more people from. Yeah,
I
we got
know.
people
I
from your
think I know.
side of the pond, not my side. You know Denise?
I think I know. I might know Denise, and like if she just logged on, she may have missed the whole thing about Florida punk because she was there.
Oh, I wonder if it's the same Denise.
Maybe, you never know.
And just following on, going off on another tangent, because I do want to get to Smash Fashion and Crimewave to tell everyone
Okay.
where we're at now. But there's two things I wanted to ask you. One was, is it true that Jello Biafra asked you for a copy of a Drills record?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I think Jello, and I've never really met him, face to face. He sent us back then. You communicated by postcards or a letter,
Mm.
and so like the Drills had a PO box, and Jello sent a postcard and said, "Hey, I'd really love to get your record." And there was a review in Flipside magazine. They I always or Maximum Rock and Roll. Those were the two like punk mags that were around, and they said that we were like a punkier Motley Crue, which I at the time I got really offended by because
Really?
yeah, I did because that I I just wasn't a fan of the band at that time. I mean, I respect them now, and of course, but that was the last thing I wanted to be affiliated with at that time. I just was
Yeah.
more. It wasn't my trip, and I remember being a little bit annoyed about it, and then Jello had sent that thing, and that record, whatever went around. I it wasn't what it should have been anyway. I don't. I'm not a big fan of that album, but
No. Well, Jello Biafra, I would say, made what I still think, although obviously Crime Wave's album will be out soon, so my opinion may change, but I still say Jello Biafra made the best album ever in the history of the universe, which was Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. I can't beat that.
it's a classic, man. There's no doubt
Oh,
about it. Yeah, no
it's
doubt
just
about
wall
it.
to wall, isn't it? Just, but who
Yeah,
knows? When we get
I,
round to talking about the new Crime Wave album, you might knock it off the top spot.
well, that would be cool. I mean, we're just trying to make the best music that we can at our age at this time. And it's like,
Hmm.
so every single guy in this band still has something to offer musically. Otherwise, it wouldn't be doing it. It's certainly not for fame or money or anything other than self musical fulfillment and seeking something else, that means something to you. And especially in today's day and age, it's,
Mm.
and so like the fact that me and Stuart, who now we've been playing music together about 14 years, and at this point we have a telekinetic musical relationship. Like
Mhm.
the guitar interplay. I'm the rudimentary, choppy punk rock guitar player, and he's Michael Schenker. Like so that, and we have a thing, and
Mm.
that's cultivated through years of playing together. And
Yeah.
and Bruce, the bass player, he was in the Drills with me at one time in Florida. So
Ah, okay.
I've known Bruce Braddock since I was 17 years old, 16 years old. We went to the same high school in Tampa. At this point, I ended up in Tampa, Florida, and I got kicked out of school for selling joints in the parking lot, and
Oops.
eventually got in bigger trouble. I but long story short, I knew Bruce back then when we were teenage juvenile delinquents, and Bruce was already into music. His whole family was musical. His dad Marty, I mean his stepdad Marty, had a soul funk band, and Bruce's older sister Gigi sang for the band. So it was a total family affair band,
Wow.
and they were a big club draw in Tampa. So Bruce grew up in a house full of musical instruments and could play guitar, could play bass. And about a year before the Drills moved from Miami to LA, we went through a guitar change, and I thought of Bruce, and I called him from Miami, and he left his life in Tampa, and he came down to live with us in the band. And he was with us when we made the move to California. So I have a long history with that dude, and there's a trust factor in being in a band with him, as well as meaning that I know he's got everybody's back, and as well as just knowing that his commitment to music has always been there. He's he's a musician. And Greg Rogers, the drummer, I first met Greg in the 90s when his band The Obsessed shared a rehearsal space with the Drills, and I always remember thinking, man, Greg's what a cool dude and what a badass drummer. And through various events, about 3 years ago now, me and him crossed paths again, and we've been playing music. So that's the thing, man. It's like whatever.
So to go and rewind just a tiny bit. So we've got Drills, we're down in Miami, we've got Drills, we've gone to LA. And then from Drills, there was that kind of stopped for you, and there was a hiatus. And then Smash Fashion was the next band, and that's what became Crimewave, just to bring everybody up to speed.
Yeah, that is true. So the Drills, when the Drills got when we did get signed, and went into the recording studio, all that, I had this stupid lame brain idea at the time that I'm sick and tired of the name The Drills, and we've progressed beyond this thing musically where we're at. I didn't feel the title, the band was what it was, and I convinced everybody to change our name to Rattlebone, which used to be this guy that used to sell crack on the corner of Hollywood and Western, and we had a rehearsal space in this building. It was kind of a rough little corner. And every time we'd walk by or I'd walk by, he'd go, "We can go up and rattle them bones," So I thought that'd be kind of a fun name. We changed our name to Rattlebone. So when our record came out, we did an EP with this guy Dave Jordan, who just passed away, legendary producer, Jane's Addiction. He was the dude. We put that thing out, and it came out under the name Rattlebone. And then and it did pretty good. Like the record company told me at the time it had sold over 80,000 copies, and that the next record that we were doing with Dave was going to probably ship gold. Like they had a really good radio department, and the problem with that whole scenario is that there's a lot of drugs and alcohol going on with everybody, but me probably the worst. And we didn't have good management. We went through all kinds of stuff. There's a Don Arden story in there. There's the Motorhead connection in there. As that band, went through its little period and then finally died, looking back on it, like it was really just a blown opportunity on every level, because all these things kept presenting themselves to me and to the band, but the drugs and alcohol and lack of guidance, I guess, or wisdom, derailed it. Like I looked at the record company as our enemy. And it's stupid because they're spending a lot of fucking money here, and I may be coming out of the punk rock world of anti-corporate, but there I was, and I was given this opportunity, and I just kind of it's one of the regrets for me, and maybe that's why at this point, at this stage in the game, that it's important to me to have something that, looking back, when it's all said and done, I go, hey man, I'm proud of that one, and I don't give a fuck if anybody else in the world likes it or not. That you have to have that, right? So and I think that from that point of the demise of the Rattlebone thing all the way to now, when the Rattlebone thing died out, I was strung out, and I actually ended up homeless. I was homeless on the streets of LA. I remember crawling into a dumpster that had mainly broken down cardboard. So there wasn't like rotten food and stuff in there, and crawling in that thing and going, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. Like, so like, that's how, I took it. But that, I went through that period. And then when I got clean finally, and this was right after 9/11, I, I was done. I was done with the homelessness, the institutions, jail. And I, it took me a little bit, but the muse came back. And because at this point I didn't have no guitars, I had nothing. And the muse came back, and I met this fellow guy. I was, going to meetings to stay sober. And I met this dude there that had a real cool haircut. And we started talking about music and our love of Cheap Trick and David Bowie and Alice Cooper and The Sweet. And we started hanging out and writing songs. And he was the first guy I ever wrote songs with. I always pretty much wrote songs on my own, sitting around. And this guy, we developed a relationship, and we ended up forming a band, and it became Smash Fashion. And, we had a couple of rhythm section guys in the beginning, Bruce Duff, he's a legend here in LA, and this drummer, Mark Contento. And I really liked Mark because he was a lefty, and he played his cymbal, his hi-hat, with his left hand. And it just looked really cool. And he was great. But we formed this band. We started playing around all over the place and here in LA. And looking back, I realized that after having gone through that dark period of homelessness and the hard drugs and the blown opportunities and the failed marriage and the on and on and on, that when I was back to playing music, I really wanted it to be fun and colorful and loud and silly, but serious, serious, all that stuff, man. And that was a great band. We went through a lot of changes, and I had some amazing players. I had Nigel Mogg was in Smash Fashion. Still a dear friend of mine from the London Choir Boys. And we had Tony Kinman on the bass, and Tony's passed away now, but let me just put a little props out there for Tony Kinman. Tony Kinman was in the forefront of the American punk hardcore scene with his band, The Dills. I remember when we were the Drills, and people would go, The Dills? And we'd go, no, The Drills, because the Dills were out, they were legends in the West Coast. And then when that band came to its end, him and his brother Chip formed another band called Rank and File, and pretty much kicked off the whole Americana music scene revival. That was them. And so Tony was at the forefront of a lot of American musical movements. And I knew him through what I was doing in my day job, which is doing art department stuff in the film business. And I worked with him, and I knew he was a legend, and we needed a bass player at that time. And I just asked him, and he goes, no. I said, hey, Tony. He goes, no. He goes, what's going on with your band, Roger? And I go, I don't know, man. We're trying to find a bass player. And Tony goes, well, you didn't ask me. And I was like, wow, because I kind of idolized him. I did idolize him. And so he came down, and he was in the band, and we made a really cool record called Big Cat Love, which I thought was the first record I was ever involved with that was of substantial worth. And it was good. I thought it was good. And, Tony passed away from pancreatic cancer. And when I went to see him and say goodbye to him, and he died a day later, I was holding his hand, man. And he said to me, you know what, Roger, man, I really enjoyed playing music with you, man. You made me laugh. We had a great time. Thank you. And I was like, what else, you know, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that means that's the kind of stuff where the bond of music, the kinship, the friendship, the connection, that's when you realize the importance of it, you
Yeah.
know.
It's the kind of what you gave him was a gift that money couldn't buy.
And yeah, exactly. And it was a reciprocal thing, you know. Yeah, those are the type of things. But with Smash Fashion, it, you know, we once again just dysfunctional, and like it was never treated as like, hey, let's actually try to do something with this full force. It was just it came in sputters, and a lot of it was just because trying to keep your nut here in LA is so goddamn hard. Los Angeles many years ago stopped being an artist friendly city. Like when we got here in the 80s, late 80s, you could still find a $400 apartment, which, you know, which you share with some musician friends, it's $100 apartment or $50 apartment. You could eat cheap, you could live cheap, you could find a place to rehearse relatively inexpensive and not have money. But it, you know, it got so increasingly harder and harder that people's availabilities, just the realities of life, of like, you know, fuck, or, you know, setting up a series of shows and one guy going, hey man, I can't do it because, you know, I gotta do this job, or, you know. So those are the realities of when you're trying to like move forward with something. And it took us forever to get anything done. We did manage to put out 4 albums, impressive. In but that was over a long period of time. There's a lot of
Yeah.
time between each one, and too long to ever gain any kind of momentum to just kind of try to do something else with it. And eventually it just petered out. Stewart got hurt. He broke his collarbone in a scooter accident and couldn't play guitar for a year. Repo, one of the great drummers I had an honor to play with. I've always played with great drummers and guitar players. But Repo moved back to Finland. You know, he was Finnish and had been in America. Repo was in this band Smack, Legends. To me, they're always kind of the grungier version of Hanoi Rocks. And Repo played with them here in LA. Hanoi Rocks had come to LA, and you know, Repo ended up playing drums with them here. And so when he left, that kind of the heart and soul of what I wanted to be doing musically with Smash Fashion left with him, because my connection to him musically was really, it was great. We had a great connection. We listened to each other and respected each other. And he could drum. He could play anything. He's a phenomenal drummer. And what happened was when he left and then Stewart got injured, about a year sat still where I just was asking Stewart, are you going to want to play music? Are you into playing music again? And eventually, to do something with our time, he said to me, well, why don't we start going through some of these old Smash Fashion songs and seeing what's up? And we found a couple songs that we never finished that we finished. And one of them had a more high energy, fresher, more guitar oriented vibe to it, almost like more of a UFO-y kind of thing. It was a little different level of what Smash Fashion were doing. And we finished that song, and Stewart said to me, this feels really fresh. And I think that song is going to be on the record. It's called Armed and Dangerous. And I thought that song initially, that was the song that kind of started the germination of what now was going to become with this band, Crimewave. He regained a passion to want to play again. And that was the song that ignited his muse, so to speak. So with that in mind, we had gave these Smash Fashion songs to people that we thought would be interested, could help us out, maybe put it out, whatever. And the response was nil. And so I just went, okay, like we just put our heart and fucking souls into this, and this is really good. And but there's what would happen anyway? There's no industry, there's nothing there. But what happened was is that for me, I got a little butthurt about it, and I went and I kind of retreated, and I kind of didn't want to even think about music. And my girlfriend was in London and working on her job, and I went to visit her, and I brought my guitar, and I gotta tell you, just when I was there, I just had this explosion of ideas, and I ended up writing 3 of the songs that the band does. And one of them was called "Surfing a Crimewave," that's where the name of the band came from, because at that we didn't have a name at this point. And then
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, "Surfing a Crimewave," and then I wrote another song called "Loop Guru," which is one of my favorite songs of this period that we're doing. And I wrote another song called "Sense of Adventure." And so that when I came back to LA and I showed these songs to Stuart, we said, well, this is a different thing, because we had been jamming with different people trying to get Smash Fashion up and running again. And when these songs started to germinate, I said to him, I go, do we just call this Smash Fashion and go for it would be our 5th album? I mean, we had a little bit of a thing going, and but to me, artistically, and to him, it felt too far of a departure. It's still rock and roll, but it's coming from a different place. It's not the Smash Fashion thing was about a rebirth and a lust for everything, and where, like, I think the Crimewave thing is now more about a preservation and making an observation of what it's like to be here and now in our age group, like, what we're seeing and how we're reacting to it. And it's not that pretty picture anymore. But on the other hand, to me, no matter what the subject matter is with your rock and roll, the music has to be glorious. The music has to be glorious, because that's what transcends it. And that's what we kind of aim for with this band, is to have enough guitar stuff and enough emotion, not just in the vocal, but in the bass playing, in the drumming, and in the guitar playing, that the overall vibe is just now obvious. And so here we are.
And I think, like you're saying, the style of music that you did, the lyrics that you would have written back then, was how you were in the world at that time and how the world was. And over these periods of these decades, the whole world's changed. Our attitude towards the world has changed. The way we live in the world has changed. So your songwriting and your playing is going to evolve with that, right?
Exactly. And, and looking back, like the last Smash Fashion album was called Rompus Pompous, and there's a lot of heavy, darker songs on that than like the Big Cat Love. So it was already starting to kind of take a hold as far as like a transition into a different thing, because there's a song on the Rompus Pompous album I'm really proud of. It's called "Smiles and Daggers," and it's a big epic song that we got Mike Garson from Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. He was he was the piano player. Of course, they didn't have him in the pictures because he was the nerdy keyboard guy. Like those bands in the 70s always did that. They put the poor keyboard guy, who was the musical genius, off to the side of the stage, so the guys with the shag haircuts and the mutton chops could be in the picture, But it's Mike Garson, who was Bowie's musical conductor, man. Like, he was Bowie's musical conductor, and he played piano on Smiles and Daggers, and he did 2 takes. And I remember me and Stuart listening. He ran through the first take, and we looked at each other, and both of us had tears running down our eyes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was moving. And then he did another take, and then so that was it. But anyway, the direction was getting more darker and more like, holy shit, look what's happening, and you know, how did this happen, and why is this happening, or whatever, these type of songs, as opposed to you know, Knickers Down, which was which wasn't Smash Fashion song, Strike My Fancies. Strike My Fancy, Knickers Down. So, you know,
oh Lord.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like it, you know, it's got to be about all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the Crimewave vibe is a little bit different.
Yeah, so we're coming to the here and now. So 2022, we evolved out Smash Fashion into Crimewave. You've had already the 6-song EP 24/7, but now we have the amazing new single Sense of Adventure and this teaser of the video. So the first thing I want to know is, when the heck is this video coming out? Are we expecting the album still in the spring?
I think the album's going to be a little bit later on, probably the end of summer. We're just waiting on mixing, scheduling, and stuff like that. But it's almost everything's done on the record. Now what were about the video? So the video, we shot that video with some guys at a place called American Primitive. Can I step off for 1 second? I just got to kind of go to the loo, as you guys say. I'll be right back.
Of course you can. Right. So while he's gone to the loo, Ash was just scrolling across there. I was just going to say, take a look at what's scrolling across the screen. And of course, in true live fashion, it's gone. Okay. So what you're seeing across there is Crimewave's socials. Their stuff, if you want to buy, you would get from Bandcamp. And we're going to hear more about that in a minute when he comes back, but connect with them anyway. They're very, very interactive. Definitely go to their YouTube, because they've got some great videos there on YouTube. We can also reveal that there is a gig coming up in London at the Iron Maiden pub, the Cart and Horses in Stratford, London, on the 28th of March. But look at that, he's back. Just as I was just putting your socials on the screen, telling people how to contact you, telling people to go to Bandcamp for anything they want to buy, and then I thought we'll just throw in the gigs while we're still there. So we will come back to that gig in a minute, because there's a lot to talk about there. Sorry.
So I was telling you about the video. So
yes,
we did this video with these guys at American Primitive, and you know, Jacob Mundell was the DP. There's another fellow named Travis Keller, who was a lot happening going behind the scenes with stuff, and he was kind of the guy behind Buddy Head Records, and you know, these guys are so cool. And Joe Carmadone from the Icarus line directed the video, and I said to him, I go, hey man, I would like to do a lyric video, but we don't want to be in it, you know, because you know, we were like, man, we're sick. We don't want to do another video where everybody's looking at our old fucking tired faces.
Oh, come on.
so I said, let's do the lyric video. And so I went to those guys, and then we exchanged some ideas. And then Joe said, why don't you and Stuart, you know, come down? And they put together this clip, and I looked at it and I went, this is fantastic. I think it looks great. And he goes, no, you guys come down, and we're going to shoot you guys in front of this thing. And so we went down and we did it. And, you know, a week later, we looked at it and went, wow, like, this is really fucking cool. So the video's done. We've been just kind of trying to find a good spot to premiere it, so to speak. And you know, we're not going to wait that much longer. I think it will be out next week. Good.
It's been teasing. Every time I go on Instagram, I'm like, here it is again. Here it is again. When do I get to see the whole damn thing?
Well, I'm really, I thank you for the excitement, because I got to tell you, I feel the excitement myself. Like I remember watching it going, wow, this is kind of, you know, this is for the first time, I'm seeing a visual equivalent of how I'm feeling about the music, you know, because, you know, music videos are weird. Like you know, they're either like above a level, or they're just a music video. And I think this one kind of made the jump. It kind of, it's, we'll see. but that's how I
Yeah.
feel about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing it's going to go on your YouTube channel. What were we watching the other day? Contagious. Contagious. Yes.
Contagious.
Yeah, that's a
Contagious.
good
Yeah.
video. Go to their YouTube channel and watch Contagious. That's a great video.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That was the first single off this upcoming album. And that song was the last song put together out of the group of songs that we did. That song came like that. It was like wildfire. Like I was kicking the riff around one day. The next time I saw the dudes that in rehearsal, I said, "Hey, check this out." And I said, "There's a little chord progression with it." And that rehearsal, that song just came to life.
Mm.
And there was a lot of stuff going on, and the lyrics just fell out on top of it. It kind of wrote itself. And the guys were kind of nervous about, we went in to track the last songs for the record. And the guys were nervous. They said, "I don't think we should do this one. It's not down yet." And I said, "Fuck it, man. Let's go for it." And so that song, we decided, let's just let that, since it's our most recent thing, and it didn't come with any thought. That's our first single. Like, this is what this record is, the beginning of it. And I think it's a great song. The video kind of fell into our lap. Also, I was talking to my friend Phil, and he had a space, and he said, "Hey, I've got this space open. Do you guys want to do something in here?" And I managed to rally the troops, and we went in there and we just shot a performance video. I thought it was really cool. My friend Carrie Porter did the video, and we kind of did a 360 on that video as far as like shots, just to try to make it not the same rock band, same kind of visuals on it. And so that was kind of cool. Like, that was a different little element in there. But yeah, man, the video thing, if you can do it, it's cool. But I mean, where do they show video? There's no place like VH1 or, right?
MTV.
It's just,
yeah.
it's YouTube, which is, which is
I think
pretty
that's
much
where everybody watches. Yeah.
YouTube's going to take over the world. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I know more people that listen to music through YouTube. It's all they watch. They don't have other service. They just watch YouTube. I get it.
Yeah.
Everything's on there, man. Everything's on there. Yeah.
But the great thing is, if YouTube's going to take over the world, you have a YouTube channel, I have a YouTube channel. That means we're the rulers of the universe in the future. So, that's that works for me.
Yeah.
God help them.
I do think that the YouTube channel, if you're doing what you're doing, if you're doing what I'm doing, or, these kind of creative endeavors, it's the place to do it. You know what I mean? It really is. And like, so I love YouTube. Like, it's funny, like when I'm over at Stewart's and we're doing working on music and stuff, everything he listens to, as far as like other music, it's all on YouTube. He'll pull up a song on YouTube. So yeah.
If ever I'm looking for something, Spotify. Yeah. Well, see, then we start going down the whole issue of how useful that is to artists in terms of earning money when people are just clicking on YouTube and watching the video. But that's a whole other rabbit hole. So let's let people know. So at the moment, Sense of Adventure came out on the 7th of February, right? So if people want to get a hold of it, what is the
Spotify.
Best way for you to make the most money out of people getting this record? So it's Sense of Adventure, which is out on Electric Pudding Records. Is that right? Yeah. Where's the best place for you that people would buy your music?
Thank you for directing that there. Bandcamp, the Crimewave Bandcamp page, because it pays a little bit better than they've been doing this thing called Bandcamp Friday. I don't know if they're going to keep doing that, because I keep hearing that they're going to stop doing it. But, like on that Bandcamp Friday, if you're paying $10 for the CD, the band sees like $9 or whatever. You know what I mean? You keep most of it on that day. The rest of the purchases, there's a certain percentage they take. But, that's great, man. That we have that CD. There's still some of those left. They sell like, couple here and there, comes in waves where more go out. But, you know, we still have some CDs and stuff on there. Yeah. Thanks for plugging that.
Well, you know, it's difficult these days. I know what it's like for musicians, and it's harder and harder to get hold of gigs and get hold of venues. But things are booking like a year or more in advance, so it's difficult to get anything going. And then, like I say, everybody streams stuff for free, plays it for free, and it's like I keep saying, if you want music to keep going, especially live music, if you don't support it and put the money into the artist's pocket, how are they going to keep it going? So I'm with you. I'm with you.
It is so well said what you just said there, because one of the things that I think of occasionally is like, wow, like this, to get anything done in today's age, in when you're trying to deal with everything else going on, to get anything done and to get things done on a kind of a consistent level is so worthy of respect. It's so worthy of respect because it's fucking difficult. And so like when people think that music is just this disposable commodity, which is a byproduct of that age of everything being at your fingertips and not having to seek and pay, or you know what I mean? So to keep a consistent energy of motivation that's not motivated by money, because what money, you know, like we put everything we have into this that we can, you know, while we're also trying to stay alive here. So yeah, I hear you. Thank you. You're correct. It deserves the respect.
It's not easy, and things have changed over the years, and you just got to keep diversifying and finding ways that you can get what you can out of it. Because like you say, you don't want to dilute what you're doing. You want to maintain your artistic integrity, but you still have to put food on the table. But at this point, what I should say is a shout out to Paul Bedford from Kick Down the Doors PR.
Yeah, Paul came into our fold, and he worked on helping us out with the Contagious single, and as well as the new Sense of Venture single release. So we're not sure if we're going to do another single or just wait for the record, but you know, you know, all I can say is that there'll be a Crimewave record by the end of summer. You know, as far as being available digital, I would love to find someone to partner up with on that record. Just to, I mean, you know, here's the thing: is like, do people even buy CDs anymore? So other than T-shirts, I do. I love buying CDs still, but in general, do people buy stuff in like, or CDs and like? So what is it other than the distribution? It's like, what, unless it's a really well-oiled machine of a label, what can they do that an artist can't do for themselves at this point? You know, and it's like it, you know, because a lot of the labels, there's no money, they just say, oh, well, you can be affiliated with the label, but unless they, you know, have the side things going on, like a good booking agent connection or something that's going to be beneficial to you having a band. So, you know, I'd love to partner up with somebody. It's a great record. The songs are coming out great, and the mixes are going good. So, you know, knock on wood that there won't be another catastrophe like half of LA burning down.
Well,
or sliding down the mountain, or
exactly. Well, I mean, at the moment you're getting fantastic airplay, aren't you, on Sense of Adventure? I'll shout out one other person, which is Griff Griffiths on New Dawn FM over here. I know he's playing it a hell of a lot, but every day I'm seeing it's being played on stations around the world. It's getting amazing airplay.
Well, man, I got to tell you, I've always believed in the song, and the song is coming from a genuine place. You know, that song was written, you know, like I said, in London, and it was during a period where I was wondering about my people around me, on who basically was fading out. You know what I mean? And these are the journey in our journey. this happens. This happens. This
Yeah,
happens with a lot of people as you move along, and
of course.
looking at your surroundings, going, who's left to run with at this point?
Hmm.
And I think that that sentiment strikes a chord with a lot of people.
Oh,
I talked
absolutely.
I talked to Griffiths. He had
Oh,
called
did
me.
you? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he called me and said, "Hey, you know, you're on the radio. Can you introduce this song, Sense of Adventure?" And he says, "I got to tell you, mate, I fucking love this song." And I was just like, "That was fantastic. That was so cool." Like, so, and that's what, getting back to the video. When I watched the playback of the video a few times, when I said earlier, the video to me has the same emotional impact as the song. And so
Yeah,
that's why I'm really excited about this video, because I want people to hear this song. I want them to hear
yeah.
the song, and I want them to connect to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever the main thing everyone needs to do is, as we put up before, we put up the Insta, we put up the Facebook, we put up YouTube. You all need to, when we finish, not now, because we were supposed to be wrapped up in an hour. I know we've gone over a bit. When we finish,
Has it been
go
over
over
an
to
hour?
those. It has. I know. It's nuts, isn't it? I just looked at the clock and it's 1:06. I'm so sorry. But yeah, when we
Well,
finish,
it's
you all
like
need
they
to head
say,
over.
time flies when you're having fun.
We're enjoying ourselves. We don't care. But also, if you don't catch this scrolling across the screen, when we finish the show, if you look at the notes at the bottom of the show, I have put all the links in for Bandcamp, everything else. All you have to do is go click and you'll go straight over there. So you've got no excuse to
Wow.
not keep up with what
That
Roger and
is
Crimewave are doing.
that is
No
so
excuse.
badass. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Oh, you are
Wow.
so welcome. You are so
Yeah,
welcome. So,
that's
so
amazing.
that now brings us to the other part of our program, which is where we get to know a little bit more about you. So,
Okay.
my first question to you is a very important thing. As we were talking at the start of the show about Brits, and that Brits tend to like one hot drink and Americans maybe like another hot drink, but Brits have kind of changed over the years. The question to you is,
Mhm.
tea and biscuits. What kind of biscuit, or do I have to say cookie? But you've been in England, so you understand biscuits. What kind of biscuit do you like? And do you have tea or coffee? And do you dunk your biscuits?
Well, it's changed a lot over the years. I used to love biscuits and dunking them in the tea or coffee. Uh, the Nutella, remember the Nutella ones, with the Nutella in the
Mm,
middle, and like,
mm,
um, I can't do that stuff anymore. So now it's coffee. It's
okay.
coffee, and I like to make my own coffee in the morning, either French press or roast, pour over roast. I've got the glass, you know, coffee carafe there. I
Hmm.
love coffee, and now instead of a biscuit, it's an English muffin with some peanut butter and blueberry on
Oh, now that
it.
is different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, how very exciting. You've changed tea and biscuits. See, we have these Americans on, it all goes out the window.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There
But
we
I
go.
love that. I do love that about UK culture, the tea and the biscuits, and I love it.
If you watch back through all these programs from Toya through to everybody, it ends up being a big long discussion about which kind of biscuit and dunking.
Yeah.
It is a very British thing, I think.
Well, it's
But
it's
we could
fabulous.
try the muffin.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I was going to ask you about, it's something that I said on the last program, and it's like it stuck with me, is that occasionally I like to have a rant about something. I have a rant of the day. And it might be something really important, or it might be something really trivial. Now,
Mm.
for me today, I was thinking, do I have something that's annoying me that I want to have a quick 1 minute rant about? And do you know what it is? It's the noise of domestic appliances, the
Mm.
vacuum cleaner, the
Mm.
lawnmower, the washing machine, everything is so damn a fan. If you put a fan on in the house because it's got hot, it's the noise. Why can't somebody in this day and age, with all this technology, all this artificial intelligence, everything we can do, you can't make a vacuum cleaner or a washing machine that is just quiet? So that's my rant. I don't know if you agree or disagree, or if you have something else that gets on your nerves.
Well, yeah. There's a lot that gets on my nerves, but let me say this about noise. Noise. I believe it or not, a lot of my music things that come into my head come in the presence of noise. Like so, and I once read that Iggy Pop said that most of his musical ideas came to him when he was vacuuming, and I understood what he meant, because there's a certain frequency that I hear in noises, not all the time. I have to be open to it, and a lot of times it's subconscious. You don't realize that you are open to it, and then you hear this noise, in it may be a piece of machinery or a repetitive something, and all of a sudden a music idea springs around it, a riff, a beat, and it starts the spark to a song. So that's my take on the noise. As far as things that bug me, since we were talking about English muffins, here in the States, they have a brand called Thomas's English Muffins. You split them up, they've got all these amazing crumpet little pockets. So when you spread the butter, they get in all the little potholes in the of the muffin. But a lot of these knockoffs, you have to slice it down the middle, and it's flat bread. There's no little crumpets. There's no little pockets of savory delight.
That's disappointing. That's so disappointing. I can see why that would annoy you.
I'm trying to keep it light. So,
but you know the thing is, but you know what you've done for me today. You see how you give a gift that you can't pay money for. It's absolutely priceless. Now, every time I am doing the vacuuming or the washing machine is going and it's annoying me, I'm going to think, do you know what? Somebody somewhere could hear that and be inspired to write a song. So now I'm not going to get as angry anymore. So you've completely wiped out one of my rants and made my life so much better. So thank you for that.
Oh my God, that wasn't the intention, but I was just saying that, the noise thing. I think you're right when you said somebody else out there. I'm sure it happens all the time, because I've had this conversation with other musicians too, like, oh yeah, the turning of the fan belt, or I heard it in the washing machine.
I've got a completely different view on this now. So thank you. You've changed my life.
Music people are weird, man.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we have one other thing that we have to do, and that is the random questions section, which it could be absolutely anything. So let me just check with my producer. How many random questions am I allowed to ask today? 3. Only 3. Okay, all right. 3 random questions. So what you need to do, Roger. Oh, no, he said 4. He's given us 4. Fantastic. Okay, you need to choose a number between 1 and 60, and I will give you a random question, and we will do that 4 times.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's start with 13.
Unlucky 13. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If we were to come up to you and we were to sniff you, what is your scent? What cologne do you wear, in other words?
I stopped wearing fragrancy oils or soaps and those type of things. I don't know. Hopefully, I wouldn't smell like an old piece of cheese or something. But I, I don't know. Maybe leather. Leather.
Leather is good.
Is
And
that
then
something
adding
Ron?
it,
Is that something
that's
Ron Halford?
absolutely fine. It's
Sounds like
very
something
rock and
Ron
roll.
Halford would say.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say it's very rock and roll. And
Hot studs
is
and
there
leather.
is there any particular smell that you like? So I'll tell you why. I have a weird one. You know, when people do wood stain on their fences, we call it creosote. It's like a
Yeah,
stain to stop like wood rotting.
yeah.
I love that smell. I absolutely love that smell. And when they put the blacktop on the road, the tar,
Hmm. Hmm.
that smell. Weird smells.
Well,
Do you have a
those are
smell?
yeah, that the smell of stain. You know, I mean, my first drug of choice was inhaling that kind of stuff. You know,
God.
sniffing glue and all that stuff. Yeah, yeah, that was very popular in my little neighborhood there. So those kind of inhalants, yeah, I get the fascination with that smell. I like it too. I you know what's really a fascinating smell is remember the smell of the inside of a Volkswagen Beetle?
Yes.
It has a very
Yes.
distinctive smell that to this day it's still in my sensory memory banks of that particular smell of what a Volkswagen, whether it was a Beetle or a Carmagia or whatever, it was probably the upholstery that they
Mm,
used, you know, that seemed to have this smell, but it's a distinctive smell.
it is. It is. Yeah, maybe it's the leather upholstery. So everyone loves the
Yeah,
smell of leather. So everyone's
yeah.
going to love the way you smell. There you go. That's fine. Okay.
Leather.
Choose another number between 1 and 60.
Okay, 27.
27. Let's have a look. Oh, what was the first gig you went to, and what was the first record you ever bought?
Oh, that's cool. First record that I ever bought on my own, that wasn't a hand me down from my mom or somebody, was Alice Cooper Killer. It's the one that has, oh yeah, he's the whole reason why I got into this thing. And it had the snake on the front and picture on the back, the guy with the eyeliner, and they're holding the snake up. And it was the most decadent thing I've ever seen in my life. So that was my first record, and it was a lifelong obsession with Alice Cooper. And first gig concert, other than like look maybe a couple little things here and there that weren't of enough significance to be in my memory even, was I saw ZZ Top, uh, and this was when they were in the nudie suit period before the beards, and they were just phenomenal. They were just phenomenal. They blew my mind. And then a few months later, I saw Black Sabbath.
Oh,
Uh, and so I think this is around 1975. I was like 13 years old. I was like 13 years old,
wow.
12. And it just blew my mind. And I just went, wow, okay, so this is greatness. Like this
Yeah.
is the experience that has moved me more than anything else in my
Hmm.
lifetime. And it
Yeah.
continues to be that way. Music is that thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Alice Cooper still performs a mean concert. I am a huge, huge fan of Alice Cooper, and we'll
Huge,
be going to see him in let's see, July. I think they're over here again. So yeah. Okay,
huge
we're
fan.
going to have one more. One
Yeah.
more. Give me another number.
33. Oh, did I say that one already?
33. No, no, we haven't done that one. Oh, okay. I know you've mentioned carpentry already, but do you have a talent that would be surprising to people? A skill?
Uh, I can flick bottle caps really well. Uh, I can blow pretty good smoke rings. Um, I used to have a very good wolf whistle. Um, but
I don't know.
about it for
I don't know.
me.
These days in this PC world, are you even allowed to wolf whistle anymore? Anyway, that's a whole different. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You know, it's
Yeah.
like these are the relics of, days gone by. So, but it's all good. It's about just kind of carrying the torch in playing some rock and roll that
Exactly.
means something to you,
Exactly.
as the player. It's a little bit more than a pastime. It's a passion.
Yes. It's a passion, exactly. And you have to do it from the heart and you have to mean it. Okay, I've been told I'm allowed one more. I'm allowed
Okay.
one more question. Give me another number.
Uh okay. Let's say 21.
21.
I went
Hmm.
back in time.
Hmm.
Did I say 21
Okay.
already?
No, I didn't say 20. No, you didn't say 21. I'm sure you didn't. Otherwise, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, let's have your favorite TV show, movie, or book at the moment, or all three if you would like.
Um well, I mean, at the moment, I don't know. TV's kind of weird. Um I've been watching this thing on Netflix. It's a Western. It's called American Medieval. Really
Okay.
brutal,
Hmm.
brutal Western, bloody and real. But that's America, and that's part of our blood-soaked history. Um,
Hmm.
my my favorite movie. I haven't seen a lot of movies recently, but I do have some favorite movies that had an impact on me that I would watch again every 5 years or whatever. One of them would be Papillon with Steve
Oh, okay.
McQueen and Dustin
Yep.
Hoffman. Something about that movie, or Cool Hand Luke with Paul
Mm.
Newman. There's something about those movies or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, yeah.
These movies all have a certain type of character of him against the world or against the
Mm.
forces of oppression, and like I just always related to those type of characters, and I've noticed all my favorite movies have that similar kind of person in the
Mm.
film. But those
Yeah.
movies I could watch again and again and again and get something
Yeah.
different each time out of them.
Mm.
Uh, books I like to read, and I um, books also have a huge influence on your creative outlook
Mm.
on the world. And when I read Henry Miller, Tropic of Cancer, or Capricorn, or there's two. I read them both, but I think
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
the Tropic of Cancer I read first, and it just had this profound effect on me on how to uh, pursue your lust, pursue your lust,
Mm.
because that can translate into pursue your lust for work, for love, for sex, for drugs, for
Mm.
whatever the
Yeah.
experience is, to go for it. And that book had that profound effect on me. And
Mm.
so that's, films, books, music. That's, to me now, at this stage in my life, in my world, I go, that's actually the stuff that's really important.
Mm. Yeah.
That's the
Absolutely.
stuff that's really important, not the stuff, the material shit. Like,
Mm.
it's about how art, you perceive art, and how art and music has led you into this space of life where you're at now. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Very well said. Very well said. Okay. So to round up then, before there's one thing I just suddenly realized right at the top of the show, and I didn't follow up on it. I said that you were looking for a mermaid with green gloves and that your favorite color was tangerine. So were those two things true?
At that time, let me
Okay.
just say, I found the mermaid with the green gloves, and it turned into Sid and Nancy. So, so yes, the mermaid with the green gloves happened, and luckily we both survived. The the tangerine color orange. I'm from Holland.
Oh,
The
well.
orange, that's the color. It's the color of our national soccer team. William of
Mm-hmm.
Orange is where the name
Mm-hmm.
came from. But I would say that at this stage in my journey in music and life, I'm a little bit more about the darker colors now. My wardrobe went from being really colorful to pretty much all black.
Yes.
It's you don't have to wash. You don't have to wash it as much. You
Exactly.
don't have to worry
Yes.
about the coffee
Yes.
and pee stains on your pants.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what I try and tell people when they ask me, do I have anything other than black? I say no, because why complicate life? You throw it all in the wash at the same time. Nothing ever gets mixed up. It's all cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's stick to black. It makes your life easier. I'm all for anything
Totally.
that makes life easier.
I just wanted to show this Bebop Deluxe Bill
Oh,
Nelson
ah,
pin. I'm such a big Bop Deluxe fan and Bill Nelson
yeah.
fan. Love him.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so let me, because we have definitely slightly overrun by like nearly half an hour. Oops, sorry, everybody. Sorry. So as the beautiful Dutch orange scrolls across the bottom, reminding people where they can contact you, if people want to get in touch with you, obviously there's loads of different ways. So some
Yeah.
people are a lot more interactive on one social media than
Yeah.
another. Do you tend to favor Facebook? Do you go Instagram? What way do you prefer people to communicate? And do
Well,
you get back to people?
I generally despise them all.
Okay.
But
Fair
I do we do have our Facebook page
enough.
and we do answer messages. We do
Okay.
respond. We just have to weed through the spam and the grifters.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, we have an Instagram page. We check our messages. We maintain it. We
Okay.
maintain it. Yeah, those are the two ways. But the YouTube channel is also very cool. So
Yes.
yeah.
So as I said, it's scrolling across there. When we finish, check the description. All the links are in there. So get over and follow Crimewave and everything that they do. So before we've taken up too much of your Friday morning, it's got dark here while we've been talking.
Wow.
So
Out come
before
the
we let you
bats.
go, it's that time of day. Perfect. Before we let you go, do you have any parting words you would like to share with our viewers? Words of wisdom or optimism or anything you'd like, basically. Anything.
I would like to just say something about our Cart and Horses show.
Yes, please.
Yes, March 29th.
28th.
March 28th,
28th.
thank you.
Yeah.
March 28th, it's a Friday night. We'd love to see our friends in the UK come down. We'd love to see you. People that know me and Stuart, come on down, celebrate. Let's have some fun. If you don't know us, please come down, introduce yourselves to us. Let's rock. Let's rock together. So, I'm really excited about that show.
Mm.
As far as words of wisdom, I don't have. The older I get, the less I know, and all I can say is that music. And actually, I wrote this down
Oh, yeah.
the other day. And a song is not a luxury, but a necessary way of being in this world. And I saw that somewhere, and I went, "That's exactly the essence of it." And so, people like you that help promote music and connect people, that's what it's all about, is connections. And so,
Yeah.
thank you so much for having me
Yeah.
here. It's
Oh,
quite an
Roger,
honor.
you
Quite an honor.
you have been an absolute pleasure. It's been an honour for us. We've had loads of lovely comments coming up. Sorry to everyone if I didn't jump on it, but when Roger's talking, I couldn't interrupt. So I was, but I've seen Mark in Canada. I've seen who else did I see? Oh, I saw Andy over in Maine. Your old part of the world, New England, and a lot of
Yeah.
people. If you didn't see some of the comments, they were thanking you very much, congratulating you on your sobriety, but
Oh, that's
thanking
so
you for
cool.
your honesty of talking about those things. People really appreciated that.
That's a fabulous, fabulous high energy audience there.
They're a great bunch. They are a
Yeah.
great bunch.
Yeah.
So anyway, all that remains for me to say is thank you a million times for coming on here. You've been an brilliant guest. Everybody has loved you. The comments have been flying in, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see you. I don't know if I'm going to get to that gig because I actually fly out to Vegas the next morning. If I can make it to that gig in Stratford, I'd love to come.
Oh,
But
I don't think we're going on too late, so I don't know how far the journey is between back and forth, but it would be great to see you guys.
we would try and make it if we possibly
Okay.
can, because I don't fly out until the next afternoon. So fingers crossed. So we're gonna just chuck you backstage for 2 seconds. But thank you for coming on Reignite,
Thank you. My pleasure.
and we
Thank you.
will speak to you very, very soon. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. Bye.
And there we have it, people. So that was the fabulous Roger Deering. I'm so sorry that ran on so long, but he had so much to talk about and there were so many interesting stories. So before you go, just a reminder, show description down below. If you click on that, there's all the links for anything to do with Crimewave. Do follow them. Do keep an eye out for their new video and have a listen to Sense of Adventure. It's a great song. And while you're there, if you want to subscribe to Reignite, that would be great, and give us a thumbs up, because the more subscribers we get, the more guests we'll have. We will be back next month with somebody we just mentioned, actually, Griffith, who is a fabulous DJ, and you will really enjoy his episode. So in the meantime, keep supporting artists, keep going out to gigs. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for stopping by at Reignite, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.